Get excited, people. It's a Monday right here on the Sports Grid Network, and it's time for the early line. New week, new money, as we like to say. And also this week, we will start the month of May. How about that? It's myself, Donnie Rightside, along with Joe Raineri, and away we go over the next 2 hours. The hottest topics we got it, the information that you need. What did you miss over the weekend, and what do you need to know for tonight? It's go time, Joe, on a Monday.
Yeah, excited. Donnie was trying to come down from the NFL draft, figuring out winners and losers. We had plenty of Major League Baseball action, playoffs. So it all picks right back up again tonight, though, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and my Phillies got to win Saturday night, but then they got trounced on Sunday, so now we're back on manager watch here in Philadelphia, and also we'll get to a manager that's already been released in a major city. How about that? But now it's time, Joe, the hottest topic. You got it on a Monday. It's what you need. Get your caffeination ready. Let's go, Joe.
Yeah, well, Donnie, we do need to talk about that front office meltdown happening up in Boston now, don't we, on a Monday? Because let's face it, as a Yankees fan, I can tell you there is nothing that warms my heart more than watching the Red Sox organization completely implode just 28 games into the baseball season. Now, if you check the standings, you already know that the Red Sox are sitting at an abysmal 11-17 on the year, tied for the fewest wins in the American League. So what does ownership do? Well, they decide that they have seen enough of manager Alex Cora and completely gut the entire coaching staff. But if we're being realistic here, was Cora perfect? No. But you could put Joe Torre in his prime in that dugout, and he wouldn't be able to win with this group assembled by the front office. But again, who actually built this roster? Well, that would be Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow. And well, Breslow looked at this team, realized he completely struck out on landing a middle-of-the-order power bat and decided to pivot to Operation Run Prevention. Yeah, well, how's that working out, Craig? It's been an absolute disaster, ask any Red Sox fan. But instead of looking in the mirror and taking accountability for fielding a severely flawed outfield-heavy roster, well, Breslin and, of course, owner John Henry decided to scapegoat the manager and all the coaches, well, to kind of save their own face. And you better believe the locker room sees right through it, because we're seeing a level of candid anger from players that you almost never witness in modern sports. And they're vocal about it. Guys like Trevor Story and Garrett Whitlock going on record stating that the front office's 2-minute corporate explanation was completely unsatisfactory. Story flat out said it feels like he has no idea who's actually calling the shots in this organization. When your players are openly questioning the front office's competence to the media in April, yeah, Donnie, your season is likely already over. And make no mistakes, folks, this is going to get incredibly ugly, because anyone old enough to remember the 2011 chicken and beer collapse knows exactly how Boston operates. Alex Cora's got a million friends in the media. He's going to start leaking like a sieve to bury Breslow. And in return, John Henry is going to use his ownership of the Boston Globe to run a smear campaign right back at Cora. Just ask Terry Francona how that playbook works. We are about to get weeks of toxic gossip and front office warfare. Change was needed in Boston. We know that. But if you want to fix a problem with culture, you have to start at the top. I would have handed Breslow his walking papers long before I pointed the finger at Alex Cora. But Donnie, it's good times in Boston right now. But hey, at least they have the Celtics, don't they?
They do have the Celtics, and also, Joe, did it work for them? They fired their manager Saturday night after a victory, picked up a victory on Sunday. Maybe the general manager in the front office is the smartest man in the room. I kid at this point right now. You'll get that bump. We'll see where it goes. But currently, the Red Sox, Joe, as you stated, still in last place, and we're not even out of the month of May yet. Other hot topics, which include, that whole Cora fiasco, which, Joe, the thing that I was talking about yesterday on Pro Baseball Today with Craig Mish was, usually a bench coach gets fired. A hitting coach gets fired. We got to get rid of the third base coach. Maybe the first base coach changed things up. Or the manager, of course. The entire managing crew, from everybody in the dugout who has any hand in anything, even Jason Varitek, who's basically like, I'm going to scout and get some things together for the next couple days. Everybody got removed. So what I'm sitting here thinking is they just wanted to get a complete reset, or There's something we don't know about that was going on with the Boston Red Sox.
Well, I'm sure. I think the proof is that winning
Yeah.
cures everything, right, Donnie? So when you're 10-17, which I think is what they were when this all went down, there are going to be questions because you really thought the moves that you made in the offseason were going to put you right at the top, right? You were going to compete for a World Series. Not so much right now in Boston.
How about the Minnesota Timberwolves? They're ready to close out the Nuggets, Joe. They're up 3-1, and it's like, hey, man, you're going to get rid of my best player and one of my key starters here as well, and Dante DiVincenzo. What are you doing to us? The Nuggets have a chance to come back from 3-1. You're getting injured at the wrong time, Minnesota.
Very wrong time. I mean, to lose now, what? Anthony Edwards here for the foreseeable future, Donnie? Nothing good happening. DiVincenzo, could it very well be that we begin to see a comeback now by the Denver Nuggets, who have looked anything even remotely close to a team that can actually run the table in the West?
Let's get out the drug test here, Joe. How is this possible to run a marathon in under 2 hours? Yes, it did happen. Sebastian Saul runs the world's first sub 2-hour marathon. Don't ask me how it's done. Impossibility, but yet it just got done.
Donnie, marathon crazy. I'm trying to get it to like the mailbox at the end of the road, and these dudes are under 2 hours. Come on, I mean, crazy stuff. But hey, it's what it's all about. You train your whole life for an opportunity like that.
And apparently Mike Tomlin was training his whole life to be the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, had success here, certainly in the regular season, never went under 500, but he eventually said, Joe, you know what? I had to give this thing up because there's a lot of pressure, and we just weren't winning in the playoffs.
Well, that's a smart man. Like he could, where there's smoke, there's fire, Donnie, right? Rather be out a year early or two than a year later too. And had he stayed, I don't know what he'd be handcuffed right now by Aaron Rodgers again. Yeah, I think he's smiling on the inside.
Joe, when you're looking to get a job, I don't care what walk of life it is or what, aspect you're going to go into for your professionalism, particularly a quarterback in the NFL where headlines mean something and you want to be a good teammate at this point. Diego Pavia there, will make it very brash, very outspoken at Vanderbilt. Hey, you know what? Could he bring that swag into the NFL? And then right when he got done with college and started showing up to the Heisman Trophy and letting some words loose there, it was like, you know what? If you are questionable, Joe, teams are going to look at you and be like, is the risk worth the reward? Well, finally, Diego Pavia is going to the Ravens, not by draft pick, but just an invitation to a minicamp.
Yeah, one of those like undrafted, like invite kind of thing. Let's see if you can run our practice squad. I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, if he could have spent another 2 years and sued his way back into college, he probably would have went that route, though. Donnie, who are we kidding?
Yeah. Look, he made some good money in college. Hopefully that lasts him over. I know a lot of people were busting his chops over the weekend. And sometimes I go, why do you root for the downfall of a kid? I don't think anybody does that. But anytime somebody acts all high and mighty, a good portion of the public wants to see it crash and burn. And it looks like Diego Pavia might be doing that now. How about Matt Fitzpatrick? No crashing and burn at the Zurich. Give me that W, baby. And look at his last 5 starts, Joe. Is that Scotty Scheffler I'm looking at right now?
And I think he just helped his brother win a tour card, right? Get himself a PGA Tour card. So, pretty good weekend for the Fitzpatrick brothers there.
Mr. Irrelevant. You still get to go to Disneyland on this one, but it's Red Murdoch, who is 2026's Mr. Irrelevant, Joe.
There's the end. So what does that mean? Well, Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, right? So does that mean he's going to get a $250 million contract somewhere down the road? Is that how it works here, Donnie?
And also, if you are Mr. Irrelevant, you automatically have to make the team, right? Does it be like, hey, look, maybe we can't cut this. This is a bad look for the NFL. Like, there's very few spots that are hyped up then. The last player drafted, which should be somewhat of a joke, has now turned into, hey, man, you can make some money off this for the rest of your life. Forget the Heisman. Sign Mr. Irrelevant on those game checks, man. We'll be right back on a Monday. Just starting to have some fun. Spread lines that you need to know for a Monday night. And by the way, Joe, you know I always like to start these. Can I start to say, you know what? The NBA, a lot of blowouts in round number 2. Maybe it does get better as we head towards, like, the Elite Eight, as we like to say, the Final Four, whatever in the NBA. But understand this, Joe. The one thing the NBA always is big on is like, we want to get ratings. We want to have the highest ratings that we've had in recent years. Well, let me tell you this. On a Monday night, they don't want you watching the NBA, Joe. So that's where I'm going to start here. It's an 8 o'clock game, which is fine. We can all watch and enjoy. Pistons and the Magic. Not the greatest series of all time, but maybe the Magic are actually the better team than the number 1 seed Pistons. But I digress. 9:30 tip, Oklahoma City and Phoenix. 10:30 tip, Minnesota and Denver. They don't want you watching these games, but you know what, Joe? It's our job still to get the people ready for these games. OKC at Phoenix, looking for the sweep. Line opened up at 11.5. Most outlets sitting at 11.5 and also 10.5, and a total right now of 213.5. Is it sweep city? But more importantly, Joe, what's a spread line we can look forward to tonight in this one?
Well, I mean, they don't want you watching these games, Donnie, not because it's on at 10 o'clock. It's because they're double-digit spreads in both of these games on the late night. So who wants to be bothered in back-to-back blowouts, which is exactly what we could be getting here tonight. So, yeah, I mean, both of these games are very similar in the fact that, listen, there is clearly one team with an advantage over the other team. Now, just because they can win doesn't necessarily mean they're going to cover here, Donnie. But have you seen anything from, I don't know, the Phoenix Suns that leads you to believe that somehow they're going to even keep this thing within double digits here? I don't think so. The Denver game might be a little different story here, but the Oklahoma City Phoenix game, to me, it feels like it's just a matter of just hurry up, roll the ball out there, get the game over, and let OKC move on.
T-Wolves and the Nuggets, Joe, 10:30 tip time tonight from Denver. And you might say to yourself, like, of course Denver's favored by 11.5 points. They're going to close the series out. They're up 3-1. But they're not, Joe. It's 3-1 for the Minnesota Timberwolves. But as we just brought to you in some of those early line topics, oh, no. Ant-Man down. Dante DiVincenzo down. What are the expectations for us tonight? And that line, as you see on the graphic, has ballooned to 11.5 and a total of 221.5 live right now. Timberwolves injured, taking on the Nuggets in elevation tonight. What's the spread line for you, Joe?
I don't know, Donnie. I mean, I have no idea. What are you going to do without Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo? All your rotations are out the window right now, which means Finch and company are going to have to figure something out here. Listen, I don't know about whether or not they cover the spread. I am fairly certain that Denver wins this game back at home to send it back to Minnesota, but obviously we're not getting either guy back anytime soon. So this isn't just hold the fort down and wait until reinforcements get back. This is going to be a problem. And it also might be a good opportunity here to look at maybe an over, because once again, the lack of defense is exactly why Denver is in this spot to begin with. Maybe even a team total for Denver might be the better look in this spot here tonight.
Sometimes you just need some luck, and maybe the Denver Nuggets are getting that luck by the way of injury. We'll find out tonight if they can extend that series and take it to game number 6. But we're also going to look at here the 8 o'clock game, which I said, Joe, we can all enjoy. Pistons and the Magic. Who would have thought after 3 games, of course, Detroit's probably going to be able to knock this one down, finish it up here. No! 2-1 series lead for the Orlando Magic, and they're home once again, Joe. But as you see the graphic, they are the underdog, getting 2.5 points in a total. Listen at 214.5, which is now down to 213.5 at most outlets right now. Pistons on the road against the Magic, the number 1 seed. On the ropes a little bit, Joe.
You got to listen. I give Detroit credit. I mean, in that game 3 there was kind of crazy. They were down by as many as 17 and then came back with about 2:52 to go, and they had a 105-104 lead and just could not hold on from that point. Now, give Orlando all the credit in the world, but Detroit has done a very good job this year, certainly bouncing back in spots like this where they were a road favorite, lost, and then come back as another favorite in the next game. 13-4 straight up in those spots this year. So, listen, this thing is going 7, whether Detroit likes it or doesn't like it. I would much rather have, a Game 7 in my own home court, which is exactly where it will be. But I think this is the one series, Donnie, that, likely it's not going to end anytime soon. I think we're going to 7 here, and I think Detroit bounces back, and at a pretty good price, Donnie, right now. Even on the money line, it's a pretty good price right now for Detroit.
Boston and Toronto. Let's flip it over to Major League Baseball today. As we know, Alex Cora has been fired as the manager of the Boston Red Sox. But how about this? 2 basement teams in the American League East, but both on 2-game win streaks, if you will. Ranger Suarez will take the mound. The lefty here signed in the offseason for the Boston Red Sox. And also Dylan Cease on the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays. This line in the Blue Jays' favor right now. You see the graphic at -138. Other outlets as high as 143 at this point, and a total that is creeping lower now, down to 7 at most outlets here. Boston and Toronto. Still a bump there with the manager being fired for Boston. What are we thinking on the spread line tonight in this matchup?
Well, what Ranger Suarez did we get here, Donnie? If you have any idea, let us know, because it seems to be hit or miss here at this particular point. But I don't know, is the manager change really going to affect whether or not he can get this Toronto lineup out? I do think this is actually going to be a bit of a pitcher's battle, though, Donnie. I don't like this construction of this Boston team at all. I think what you see is what you get. I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to ride it. Beating Baltimore a couple of games is one thing. I think Toronto is starting to figure it out. I think Dylan Cease is starting to figure it out. I like the under, though, more than I like anything else in this game.
All right, let's move it over to the ice and get that good advice here. Philadelphia was looking for a closeout on Saturday night, but Sid the Kid had other opportunities here, which included a power play goal early in that game to take a 1-0 lead. The Penguins win that game, stave off elimination. Game number 5 back in Pittsburgh tonight. Maybe it was just a goalie change that Pittsburgh needed, but still a big hill to climb. But they are the favorites, the Penguins, at a -137 price here, and the total in this game listed at 5.5. Does Pittsburgh send it back to Philadelphia, Joe, for a game 6? What's that spread line here?
Well, I mean, listen, I just want to say it's nice of your Flyers to, you know, not embarrass Sidney Crosby like that. Let him get one, you know, so you can go back and then you can bury him. So you got to be gentleman sweep. Very nice of your Flyers to allow that. Let's hope they close it out tonight.
Fantastic. Close it out tonight. But if you are the Flyers, maybe you want another game in your building because it's a big gate at this point here. Let's not get into conspiracy theories. Let's get into the NFL draft next. Coming up after the break. Come on back and join us. We are a fast-paced society, Joe. That's what we get in this technological age right now. And if you ask me and say, oh, look, some people out there, the baseball games, right? I love it. The pitch clock has been absolutely fantastic. We don't need to sit through a 4.5-hour Major League Baseball game. Give me the action, get it in, get me home, and get me in the bed at a decent time. Some idiots out there say, huh, oh, I've been at the ballpark till midnight. Yeah, idiots here. How about the NFL draft? Even better, Joe. Did you know in 2007, round number one lasted 6 hours? Now we just saw round number one last Thursday night, 2 hours and 53 minutes. Applause, applause, applause. I love it, Joe. Do you?
Yeah, it really did. Again, the whole two-station thing was like two channels that were tape delayed between. It was kind of crazy, but the reality is the information was coming quickly.
Yes.
And it was good. Next thing you know, we're like, all right, we're not waiting on team 3 here for another 8 minutes before they, the third round pick. Like this was, you kind of knew you were good when they made it through the first 5 in about 30 minutes. I was like, wow. This is actually going better than I thought it would.
Fantastic. Absolutely loved it here. Keep it moving at this point. You want to drop from 8 minutes to 6 minutes per pick? I'm down with that as well. Keep it so everybody can watch it in prime time. The ratings will be sky high because of that. And also understand this too, Joe. Even the common fan, your team might pick, let's just say you said, Joe, 5th overall. If the draft is long, you might shut the draft off and just go to bed at that point. But since it's fast, it's moving. I want to see what the other teams are doing at this point. Good move by the NFL at this spot here. I'll tell you what wasn't a good move. When they tell you, Joe, when you get all the information, they go, you know what, kid? You're a projected first-round pick. Nah, love college, man. Want to stick it out one more year, get a little NIL money, relax. Even back in the day, Matt Leinart for USC. Hey, come out. No. I want to do ballroom dancing and come back to USC. How'd that work out for his career? Garrett Nussmeier, expected to be a first-round pick last year, Joe. 249th this year. That's a big swing in your paycheck.
That is a huge swing in your paycheck, Donnie. And unfortunately for Garrett Nussmeier, well, listen, I mean, at least you were drafted, right? I guess you can say that, Donnie, when it's all said and done. Although I hope you made a whole lot of NIL money. That's for sure, because not sure Kansas City, of all places, is a great spot for him.
The best-selling tool of all. And also, it's not as if the guy was projected to be a 5th-round pick last year. Hell, I want to come back and try to improve and see what I can do, and you fell to the 6th or the 7th round. This guy was a first-round draft pick grade last year. Come out. Strike while the iron is hot. I don't care how good you think you are. You got to take that generational money when it's on the table there. How about this? Raider Nation, they get Jermard McCoy with the 101st pick, Joe. If you would have said that before the injury, what happened to him? Goes 101.
Yep, and that's the problem. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the medicals were. It was just a matter of where he was going to go. He was definitely going to get drafted, but this guy was going to be one of the top corners in the draft, Donnie. He could have been he was projected as a top 5 pick, but the injuries, it took its toll. But I guess, at 100 and for the 101st pick with the Raiders, I mean, that's where, hey, listen, there's no guarantee, by the way, he's going to be 100%, but at the 101st pick, it's worth taking that risk as opposed to, a 1st or 2nd round pick there and keeping your fingers crossed.
Good chance if you're in a Power 5 conference or Power 4, whatever we want to call it at this point now. Colorado, not producing NFL players this year, Joe. 2026 draft, not a single selection from the Buffaloes there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, Deion doesn't have any more kids there, right? So that's the problem. Going to be an interesting year this year, I think, for Colorado and Deion too, as well. That could be hot seat central, although they basically gave him everything and the kitchen sink. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of year they have this year.
How about this up in New York? Trying to make everybody happy, which is what John Harbaugh is doing. Hey, Odell Beckham, fan favorite. Let's give you a tryout here. Maybe we'll bring you in the mini camp, saying all the right things. But how about this? Pat Leonard tweeted out, John Harbaugh asked about Malik Neighbors' draft critiques, saying his Giants, quote, don't get too worried about stuff as long as the person's heart is in the right place. Say what you think, quote, he says. He spoke to Neighbors and explained how they intend to use Reese, said, quote, he's a player that fits our structure or defensive uniquely. Yeah, uniquely. There you go. I don't know what he's talking about, but here it is.
Yeah. Basically, what he's saying, Donnie, is that I don't know how this guy's available to us at the 5th round, so we'll draft him and figure it out later. That's basically what he's saying.
Yeah, and by the way, he's upset that they got one of the steals of the draft a couple, slots down there. What did they want? I wanted the safety, Caleb Downs at this point. Just take the advantage where it is and get back healthy and play some wide receiver. How about this? Adam Schefter tweet. Next up, the highly anticipated 2027 NFL draft in DC, people. Get ready. In DC. Also, UFC this summer as well. 250 America. Come on back with us. NBA action round number one, cruising along. Teams looking to close out. Maybe it's the Phoenix Suns tonight, but a lot of good series. But also, one of the more interesting ones here is the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets. If you're watching over the weekend, 112-96. The Minnesota Timberwolves at home beat the Denver Nuggets to take a commanding 3-1 series lead. Most people would look at that and say, yep, just a matter of time now. Minnesota's going to close them out and move forward until we find out that in the last game, Dante DiVincenzo played 1 minute. Why is that? Tore his Achilles. He's going to be down for not only the rest of this series, but probably the entirety of next year. Also, you take a look at, your superstar player, Ant-Man out there. He's already been struggling with a knee injury. How about you throw a knee injury on the other knee at this point right now? He only played 18 minutes. They still won that game, Joe. But now you're looking at saying, okay, we just need to get a win over the next couple games here. The question is, will they be able to do it? But man, that is just terrible timing to have superstars go down when you have a commanding series lead, Joe.
And when you're playing that well and, it's all starting to come together for you in Minnesota, and then not just DiVincenzo, who brings an awful lot to that team, but then, of course, your leading scorer in Anthony Edwards, that goes down. That's tough to overcome, especially against a team that knows you so well here. It's, all of a sudden the rotations get smaller. Guys are going to be out on the court longer. Two of the next three are in Denver, and can they steal one? Maybe, but then what, Donnie? That's the other question. Okay, so if you do steal one and close it out, who is Minnesota beating down the stretch here? So Denver's got its work cut out for them, though, and they better handle business. Put them down and step on them and be done with it altogether. But we'll see. They haven't looked all that enthusiastic to me through 4 games so far.
You know, I love taking the underdog of the team nobody wants to take. Now, understand this. Nobody's probably going to want to take the Timberwolves tonight here, but also at this point, is this a game that the Timberwolves look at, Joe, and say, punting isn't the right word in the playoffs, but they know they have one chance at home in game 6 to get this done. Does it make sense for them to be shorthanded tonight in elevation, try their best and get beat, as opposed to, all right, we understand the task at hand. Ant's not coming back. DiVincenzo's not coming back. We got to save up all that energy for game number 6. Because trust me on this, if we're taking a look at a game tonight where, let's just say, the Nuggets win, and then you lose, talking about Minnesota in game number 6. You're not winning game number 7. It feels like everything is on the line for game 6 and not tonight, Joe. Do you agree?
It is. You're right. I mean, because that's where that's where this whole series is going to be decided, is in game 6 back in Minnesota. Yeah. And if they can't get that one, and I think you'll see a pretty enthusiastic first half, but if this game starts to get away from them, I agree with you, Donnie. I think which is why betting the total or even the side at this point, it's like, I don't know what we're going to get from Minnesota without those two guys in the rotation.
Betting into the unknown. I'll tell you what we're going to get is some fines out of this. At least you're showing some fun at this point. Nikola Jokic fined 50 G's, and Julius Randle has also been fined $35,000 for the roles in the on-court altercation at the end of the game. Showing some fight, those Nuggets here, huh?
Yeah, a little late, though. I mean, you'd heard the game was pretty much over at that point, and then you throw it. Like, you got to figure it out, Denver, sooner rather than later here. I don't know what Aaron Gordon's status is, but they better figure it out, Donnie. They are plus money to win the series right now. I don't know if that plus money remains if they win and win big here tonight. So they still have their word. They dug themselves quite the hole here, down 3 games to 1.
How about this one? Friday night, I was like, you know what? I'm going against the public here. I'm going to take those Houston Rockets because Kevin Durant's going to show up. He's not going to let them get a sweep there. And you know what? Back into the series we go. Durant's like, yeah, I'm good. It's not even my knee. It feels like my ankle now. I just don't feel like playing at this point. So then you fast forward to game number 4, and Durant's like, yeah, I ain't playing in this game either. Now it turns out he might be down at least 2 to 3 weeks. Well, that could turn into 2 to 3 months because they're going to get sent home sooner than later by the Los Angeles Lakers. But they did fight last night, Joe, and got a victory there without KD over the Lakers to go back to Los Angeles.
And they scored more than 100 points, which is impressive, and didn't need overtime to do it, right? 115 they dropped last night. Where's that been? And they did it without Durant. So it felt like that was a game. You talked about punting with Minnesota. It felt like the Lakers, up 3 games to none, were not going to, they weren't going to lay it all out on the table, especially heading back home to L.A. I think the Lakers are they're in good shape to advance here at some point.
Let's hear from the coaches after last night's game.
Tonight, everything seemed to really click. Just what did you like about your team's resiliency and what you saw overall tonight?
I think our aggressiveness was on display from the start. First time holding them outside of 30-point first quarter, so much better effort there, defensive intensity across the board. I loved our ball pressure, forcing 24 turnovers for 30 points and 17 of those being steals, so our activity was great, and that's made the difference from the start.
It's obviously very challenging without your 2 leading scorers to generate offense. I think we'll take a look at the process again on that end as well, and I know our points per shot and our expected points per shot were slightly below our season average. So there, to me, again, it goes back to the 2 keys: take care of the ball, and we'll look at that and how we can be better there.
Joe, protocols, injury management, philosophy from your doctors, it all goes out the window in the playoffs. And the reason I'm bringing this up is, Joe, we've seen it in the past, in the NFL. Hey, don't check that guy for concussion. Get him back into the game as quick as you can, because if you don't test him, he can play, and then we'll deal with the aftermath afterwards. You have one of the most talented young players that we've seen in the NBA over the past 25 years in Victor Wembanyama. He looks like he's going to be a bona fide superstar. That bona fide superstar drilled his head hard enough onto the court where he had a concussion. And he said to himself, ooh, this is going to be interesting. He's probably going to be down for at least 1 week, then get evaluated. Is this going to mess up the series? Joe, can you please tell me how many games he missed in the series so far?
1, I believe. That was it. Seemed to be, he showed up to the right spot, so that's a good sign. I think he knew his name And that was it. And by the way, they won that game without him, so not really sure what the rush was. I think they said the average concussion protocol in the NBA is about 9 days. I don't think they made it to 9 days for he made it back.
I mean, again, I hope he's healthy. I hope they make the right decision. It's just so interesting how things are treated here. Like, if this was the regular season, Joe, like in the regular season, why would he miss 3 or 4 games? But in the playoffs, he would miss 1 game. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just some things I just take a look at and say, this doesn't make sense. But the way it is here, the Spurs pick up the victory once again last night. And rightfully so. We want to see the Spurs advance, but just odd. Like, yeah, I was unhappy. I thought I could have played earlier than that. It's just crazy. Like, concussions are so serious when they want it to be. And then when, oh, hey, everything's on the line. Get back out there. Quick, kid. And he was dominant, by the way, too.
He was. And of course, after the game, he indicated that the way his return to play was handled was, quote, very disappointing, end quote. But did want everyone to know that he was treated well by the Spurs medical staff, whatever that means. But he said he didn't want to be a distraction. So going to be interested to see exactly how that was very disappointing to him.
I'll tell you what was disappointing here in the city of brotherly love last night. Joel Embiid is back. Let's go. And it was a runaway from the first quarter here, Joe. 34-18, a low-scoring second quarter, high-scoring third quarter. Celtics close it out 128-96. That's the Celtics that you anticipated here in Philadelphia, winning both of those games. Now going back to going back to Boston, looking to close them out. But Embiid, he wasn't there all game because he's coming back from an appendicitis here, but 26-10-6. But they still got smoked.
Yeah, it was that they were never in that game.
They were never in the game.
They never were. I mean, and give credit to the Celtics because they made sure that they were never in that game, period. So, and Maxey took a backseat to Embiid, and kudos. You still didn't score 100 points, but welcome back, Embiid, I guess.
Yeah, Kelly Oubre Jr. was battling some injuries. Well, he played 31 minutes, scored 2 points, and finished at a -31. Maybe he should have played with that injury here, but when you take a look at the Boston Celtics, Joe, what do they do well? And sometimes you just can't stop it. The three-point shot. They knocked down 24 three-point shots last night on the road. 3-1 series lead. The Hot Topics, they continue to roll along. It's a Monday right here on the SportsGrid Network. Major League Baseball news here, and yeah, we'll get to some of those news and notes that you need to know, and it starts with those New York Yankees here. How about this? You get good signs from saying, you know what, let's get healthy here. Anthony Volpe expected to be back with the Yankees soon, per source, after completing his rehab assignment in AAA Scranton. So you like to hear that, but then at the same time, the guy that's built out of granite, that's Giancarlo Stanton, is going to be reevaluated today, Joe, before determining whether or not he will need to be placed on the IL for his lower leg tightness. I'm going to tell you right now, he will be placed on the IL. You don't have to go back and check the news show.
It's amazing. It really is. It just, history just repeats itself, right? It just, here you go. What are we, almost to May? So, of course, that means Stanton's going to disappear for 2 months on the IL with some sort of freak injury. And here you go again. So, but I guess reinforcements are coming, hopefully, I think, right? And there you go. Perfect. Unreal.
Yeah. Jason Dominguez is going to get caught on. By the way, it's one thing, Joe. It's like, hey, man, Giancarlo Stanton is a catcher. It's a lot of wear and tear. You're going to get those injuries. Dude is a DH, Joe, which means he doesn't barely run the bases, let alone have to be an athlete out there. It's like, hey, kid, go up there and swing the bat. Yeah, my legs are hurting me because I'm swinging the bat. But this isn't the first time this has crept up here for the New York Yankees and Giancarlo Stanton throughout his career. He seems to be always injured. It's like, we're going to make you DH so you don't get injured. Yeah, I'm still injured anyway. Some guys, as they say, just stay injured here. Now, how about the fallout? Because we're going to continue to hear it, Joe. You had a great topic here to start the day on Caffeinated Joe. Red Sox veteran Trevor Story says Alex Cora and his staff didn't get a fair shake. You know what I like to say? Hey, Trevor, look at your batting average. That's part of the reason why those guys are no longer coaching.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's first say, like, Alex Cora will be unemployed for 3 minutes here. He'll, whatever the first job opening that comes available, if it is Philadelphia, Donnie, get ready. Alex Cora will be the top name. Yeah, he'll be the first name there. So, but, you know, it's odd. It really is odd, the timing of it here, because I don't like this roster. I think the way it was built, and I'm sure Alex Cora and the rest of his staff were like, what do you want us to do with 19 DHs and outfielders here? What are we supposed to do with this thing?
And here's Breslow and his working relationship with Cora, or was a good working relationship.
Now that you characterize what your working relationship was like with Alex, during this season, and is that part of the equation here that you guys are no longer as aligned as you want it to be?
I actually think I have a very good working relationship with Alex. Certainly, neither of us was satisfied with the start that we got off to, but we continued to bounce ideas off of each other to put all potential solutions on the table. Ultimately, as an organization, as a baseball operation, alongside ownership, we reached the decision yesterday to make these changes.
You know how crazy that is, too? Like, you just take a look at that video right there. Like, he's in front of the Orioles logo as opposed to like a Red Sox thing. Like, how quickly that came together, and they couldn't even put something with a Boston Red Sox logo in the background. They're going to be answering a lot of questions. But as we pointed out, Joe, it wasn't just, hey, we let the manager go. We let everybody go who was coaching anybody anywhere with the big league team.
They fired Veritek, who was like the game player, but they didn't fire him. They're reassigning him to somewhere in the organization. They haven't said what, because I think they know there would have been riots in the streets if you got rid of Veritek as well. So, yeah. The best was the post before all the fired guys were about to get on a private jet and leave Baltimore, and they all posted a picture together, all smiles. Good luck, Boston. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. And by the way, on the predictive markets here, to be the next manager of the Boston Red Sox. Now, also, not the interim manager, the next manager, David Ortiz with a 40% chance. Big Papi in the dugout? Say it isn't so.
It isn't so. I mean, it's baseball guys versus the front office analytic guys. And, yeah, that's a battle. And John Henry, by the way, just sitting there, doesn't address the team, doesn't say 2 words about anything, the owner, and just like that. So it sounds to me like they are much more interested in the younger guys, which is why they brought up the AA manager to be the interim manager, than worried about any of the vets on the team that might have problems.
Now, if your last name is Mendoza, you don't want to look at your cell phone today, because at any moment that could ring or buzz with a text message, meet me in the lounge, and away you go. But by the way, Here's Juan Soto talking about some of the rumors that are going around here.
Juan, are you guys worried at all that your performance could cost people their jobs, like your manager, like Carlos, or other people?
I mean, we more worry about our job, as players, we have to perform. Definitely, this is not Mendy's fault or David's fault. They definitely put a great team together, and we have to be the ones who got to go out there and perform at the end of the day. I don't think he's been doing anything wrong. I think he's been doing a great job as a manager. He's been moving the pieces and putting the pieces in the right spot. I think we haven't come through, but it's not his fault at all.
By the way, Juan Soto, interesting throughout his career, right? Like unbelievable player, but boy, that's not a guy that you would want in your corner if you really needed to get your life saved, like on trial. Like, hey, bring Juan Soto up to say how great of a person Joe Raineri is at this point. My favorite is also when they were in that losing streak. Is like, hey, man, you're the team leader. You make all this money. Like, you've been away from the team, been content. Nah, I haven't been talking to any of the guys. I'll just get back when I can and worry about myself at this point. Not a ringing endorsement there of, yeah, we just got to play a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, you've lost, 15 of 17, so I guess you can only go up from here, right, Juan? I guess maybe that's the attitude? Like, let's just win some games. When you get swept by the Rockies, boy, oh boy, there is trouble in paradise there at Citi Field.
True or false, Joe? The Mets should replace Carlos Mendoza with Alex Cora at this moment.
Oh, that is, I might have to head to the predictive markets here, Donnie, to see what the odds of that are, because, yeah, at 9 and 19, that could be next.
Could be next in Philadelphia as well. So Alex Cora would love you in Philadelphia. Why? Because I'm tired of hearing Topper Rob Thompson after the game go, hey, you just got to look at the back of these players' baseball cards, and you got to hope that they get back to playing the same baseball. Stop it. Take a look at Joe Montana's baseball card or football card. They ain't coming back now putting up those numbers. Oh, I'm getting upset already. We'll be back.
They do nothing fancy, the Philadelphia Flyers. There's nothing like, oh my God, like they basically, Kevin, could like hand you their playbook before the game. Like seriously, they can say, yeah, this is what we're going to do. These are our lines and this is how we're going to match up against you. Like, you know it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you know it. There's nothing you can do about it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
The promising thing for Oklahoma is you've got this legislature that seems to be fairly behind sports betting and legalizing it for the tribes. Stitt is term limited out this year, so you will have a new governor in Oklahoma next year. So this will be a state to watch because there are a lot of tribes in Oklahoma saying, we want this. FanDuel came out as this was coming and said, we want the chance to partner with at least one of the tribes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Get it, man. Maybe this is more of a Kalshi poly market conversation to jump in on the prediction markets, but to me, this is the spot that I would roll with the Rays, man. I think they're undervalued every year, and I think they're undervalued this year again. Look, the Yankees should be the favorite. They're the best team on paper. Baltimore, Toronto, and Boston? Donnie, are they that much better than Tampa Bay? What am I missing here?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
The level of involvement with the government and the universities is just absolutely hilarious. You got nothing else going that you got to be this involved here across the board? I do not get it, Donnie. I really don't. But that just goes to show you how much it means here to certain individuals in politics.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Get in the mix, people. Let's have some fun. Talk a little hockey in the final segment of hour number 1 on this glorious Monday on the SportsGrid Network. Donnie Rightside and Joe Raineri. New Year's Eve. Hockey in Utah, Joe. The @Discover NHL Winter Classic between the Utah Mammoth and the Colorado Avalanche will be played on New Year's Eve. How about that, Joe? Get down to business.
That actually sounds like it's going to be pretty fun. But a lot of those series are great, Donnie, when they schedule them. And now, listen, Utah very much alive and well here with the possibility of a first-round win, advancing. Who knows? Young team, a lot of hockey fans now in Utah. Go figure.
By the way, what I do like about these two, Joe, is like the stadium series is a little bit worn out because, again, it's not as good as when it used to be because of the newness of, hey, they're playing in a baseball or a professional football stadium. I like this here, not because it's in a college stadium, but I always like the backdrop. Give me the mountains. Give me the snow caps out there. You know it's going to be cold weather. And also, it's always fun when these aren't placed on like a random Tuesday night. Give me a big moment where, yeah, people will get excited for a New Year's Eve game. Like the move here at this point here. We'll see how it turns out. Sold out? Not a doubt. That's certainly going to happen at this point here. How about this one? You want to talk about selling out? Winning bid on Wayne Gretzky's last jersey as an Edmonton Oiler player went for $2.8 million. Jersey was photo matched to the 2 Stanley Cup Finals, including game number 4. Now, what does that mean, photo matched? What if I had a that same Wayne Gretzky jersey, just said it was, how's it photo matched, Joe? What do we have here?
I have no idea. Is that what are they doing? Is this like facial recognition? Is this jersey recognition? Like, how does this work here? That they've got pictures of the jersey and they're just trying to be like, yeah, this looks like an Edmonton jersey with 99 on it. Very strange.
By the way, like I'm always interested in paraphernalia like that because the one thing that we do know is there's a lot of fraud that goes on. You're going to pay all that money. It's like you're hanging on your wall. It's like, is it really the right jersey at this point? And by the way, the guy bought it for $1.4 million in 2022. That's a nice markup, Joe. Got double the price for what he bought in 2022. I got to go ahead and start buying some jerseys, Joe, and reselling them.
You better hope it better be authenticated. I'll tell you that, Donnie. You spending that kind of money on a jersey that might have been made a week ago. It's going to be very interesting here. There's got to be a process with that. Got to be.
There does. It's like, and who held on to that? Where was it stored? Grandma's attic at this point. But by the way, kids, you don't understand how big of a phenomenon Wayne Gretzky was in the 80s and the 1990s, how good this player was. And I always appreciated where the NHL players knew, Joe, like, hey, you know what? He's their best player. I want to take him out, which is better for us to win the series or win the game. Nobody touched Wayne Gretzky because everybody made more money that guy was around at this point. And I remember growing up, and I didn't get to see Wayne Gretzky live until he went to the Los Angeles Kings, and they played at the Spectrum. I couldn't wait to get to that game, and just seeing him skate around like live was so cool at this point, which is one of those guys where you see him talking on TV and you wonder how good he was. This guy, look, go back to his numbers on the back of his hockey card, Joe. 200-point seasons for this guy.
Those early Edmonton teams that he was on that won all those that were so good. Mark Messier, McCurry. I mean, it was so good and so untouchable. It was crazy. And nobody skated like him either. Nobody could handle a puck like him. Nobody could skate like him. And in an era, Donnie, where guys were headhunters, they were looking, couldn't get to him, man. It was unbelievable how good he truly was.
In that 1987 season where the Flyers lost in game number 7 in Edmonton, even though they scored first in that game, I cried like a baby as a little kid, man. They took them the distance here. But Wayne Gretzky, always remember that guy's one of the greats. How about this, though? Talking about one of the greats, the Buffalo Sabres. Oh, the tide could turn here. Not so fast. 6-1 final where they hammered Boston. By the way, they were up 6-0 in that game. Smash job, as Joe Lisi would like to say, in the first period.
Yeah, no, it was over rather quickly there. So all of a sudden, that's turning out to be a pretty good series here, too. We got a lot of them, Donnie, in fact, in these first rounds. Maybe, just maybe, Bettman's onto something here by having all the best teams play each other early because a lot of these series are living up to the hype.
And by the way, living up to the hype here, did the Kings even know they were in the playoffs, Joe? Got hammered last night, 5-1 at home, swept right on out of there. Anze Kopitar, one of the greats for the LA Kings, his career is officially over. But come on, man, Kings. Couldn't give the people something to cheer about at all?
No, they couldn't scratch out a win, but they did scratch out a goal, so I guess that's the next best thing, Donnie.
I got to tell you, though, Joe, Lightning Canadian series, absolutely
Oh,
fantastic. Two great
so
fan
good.
bases, awesome close games. It's been phenomenal, man.
So good, Donnie, and it's only going to get better.
Oh, it's only going to get better. Hour number 1 into hour number 2. It's how we do it. It's Donnie and Joe in the morning on a Monday right here on the SportsGrid Network.
They do nothing fancy, the Philadelphia Flyers. There's nothing like, oh my God, like they basically, Kevin, can like hand you their playbook before the game. Like seriously, they can say, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. These are our lines, and this is how we're gonna match up against you. Like you know it, like, you know what I mean? Like, and you know it. There's nothing you can do about it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
The promising thing for Oklahoma is you've got this legislature that seems to be fairly behind sports betting and legalizing it for the tribes. Stitt is term limited out this year, so you will have a new governor in Oklahoma next year. So this will be a state to watch because there are a lot of tribes in Oklahoma saying, we want this. FanDuel came out as this was coming and said, we want the chance to partner with at least one of the tribes.
Newswire only on SportsGrid.
I don't get it, man. Maybe this is more of a Kalshi poly market conversation to jump in on the prediction markets, but to me, this is the spot that I would roll with the Rays, man. I think they're undervalued every year, and I think they're undervalued this year again. Look, the Yankees should be the favorite. They're the best team on paper. Baltimore, Toronto, and Boston? Donnie, are they that much better than Tampa Bay? What am I missing here?
Pro Baseball Today only on SportsGrid.
The level of involvement with the government and the universities is just absolutely hilarious. You got nothing else going that you got to be this involved here across the board? I do not get it, Donnie. I really don't. But that just goes to show you how much it means here to certain individuals in politics.
The Early Line only on SportsGrid.
Hour number 2 getting underway right here on a Monday. SportsGrid Network. Donnie Rightside and Joe Raineri had a lot of fun in hour number 2, but now we push it to hour number 1. Now we're in hour number 2. Kevin Walsh going to join us, host of Game Time Decisions here, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on the SportsGrid Network with Gabriel Morency. We asked some questions about those Los Angeles Lakers, and is it a red flag that they lost, which it probably won't be, and also, more importantly, what he thought about wrapping up the NFL draft, maybe even some winners and losers. But the topics, Joe, they don't stop. It's hour number 2. Also, midway through this hour, a little PME action where we're going to try to get you to invest some money in spots that make some sense, Joe. It all happens in hour number 2.
It does. Donnie, got a lot going on here. We got actually some really good Major League Baseball series coming up to start the week. And, of course, it is put up or shut up time for at least, 2 of the 3 games tonight in the NBA. So it should be fun.
Should be fun, too, for Alex Cora and the boys who are no longer coaches whatsoever for the Boston Red Sox. Came like a lightning bolt on Saturday night where most people are like, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. We always see like the manager sometimes gets let go, Joe. But how about the entire coaching staff let go for the Boston Red Sox? They don't hit the baseball, Joe. They don't pitch the baseball, but they're out of a job.
Yeah, not good. Not good at all in Boston. And it's nice. I mean, they bounced back with a couple of wins there, right, against Baltimore, but let's face it, that's not a big accomplishment. You got 11 wins, Donnie, on the season. You're tied for the fewest wins here with about 3 or 4 other bottom feeders in the American League. I'm not sure firing Veritek and Cora and the third base coach who apparently everyone loved. It's risky because what happens, Donnie, if it doesn't get better? Does that mean Breslau's next? Where do you go from there? Who else are you going to fire?
Yeah, no more shields. No more shields for the front
That's it.
office now. Now it's on them at this point. By the way, the full list of the firings there, Joe. Manager Alex Cora, hitting coach Peter Fatsi, bench coach Ramon Vasquez, assistant hitting coach Dylan Lawson, third base coach Kyle Hudson, hitting strategy coach Joe Cronin, and also game planning coach Jason Veritek here. So if I read that all the way through, did the first base coach survive here? Is that what I'm saying?
Yes, because I don't think he was hired by Cora. But the best part is they keep saying Veritek wasn't fired. He's just being reassigned. Well, where's he being reassigned to? Like, if he's not with the Red, like, where? Like, you're going to send him to a corporate job? Like, what are you talking about? He's being reassigned. So, it's a hot mess in Boston right now.
Minnesota Timberwolves. What's the saying, Joe? Win the battle, lose the war. Yay, we won that game. We're up 3-1. We're going to close them out and be like, hey, by the way, your two best players here probably going to sit this next one out for at least the next year for one of them and the next couple weeks for Anthony, the Ant-Man out there. This is a tough scene here at this point because you take a look at Anthony Edwards. Dude was already fighting a knee injury on one knee, Joe. Injures the other knee. Seen that before.
Yeah, it went from bad to worse. I mean, you want to talk about... And it started right off the bat with DiVincenzo in that game. And I mean, they battled and they got it done only to find out now that you've lost two players here for likely the remainder of the season. It's just not good for Minnesota. But, hey, listen, up 3-1. All you got to do is survive here, right? You got to win one out of the next three. The problem is 2 out of those next 3 are in Denver. So, going to be interesting to see how this works out tonight.
It will be interesting to see. How about this, Joe? Something I could never do, no matter how long I trained for. That's complete a marathon in under 2 hours. That was done by Sebastian. I'm going to say, look, I don't know his last. Never heard the pronunciation. I'm going to go Sawe on this one here and make a crucial judgment on that. Under 2 hours. How does that happen, Joe?
Donna, I don't even think I could actually drive under 2 hours in a marathon. Like, that is just absolutely absurd how. I mean, anybody that's ever ran at all, Donnie, has done the 5Ks or the half. I mean, under 2 hours is just ridiculous. Absolutely crazy.
By the way, it's 26.2 miles for a marathon.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, you put it into, like, your own landscape of how you lived your life here, right? Most of the time when you're growing up, like, the time metric was like, hey, run the mile here in gym class or whatever it was. You could do that. When I got to football camp in college, we had a time test on 2 miles. And by the time I got done those 8 laps, Joe, my lungs were on fire and my feet were burning at this point. And then they tell you, hey, Donnie, you got another 24 miles to go. I don't even know how you compete in marathons, Joe. It's amazing.
No, exactly, Donnie. I'm telling you, I could hop on a bike and not get it done in 2 hours. I can't, and I ain't trying 26.5 miles. That is absurd what he's doing. No stops, just straight through, Donnie. Kind of crazy.
By the way, speaking of Mike Tomlin, we want to talk about marathons. He was there for a marathon of a head coach there for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Had some great times early on. Always made sure they had winning seasons, but that's not where you graded on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not the Steelers like, hey, hopefully we get a Super Bowl championship. They were built on championships in the 1970s here and having some success in the early 2000s and around 2010 with Mike Tomlin. But since then, it's been a struggle in the playoffs here. Tomlin, healthy, still young enough to coach, but says, you know what? Got to me, man. We just weren't winning in the playoffs, and something had to change, and that change was me.
Yeah, and he's got to be happy at this point, Donnie, because think about it. He'd be sitting there right now heading into this season with zero idea who his starting quarterback is going to be. Like, he was... timing is everything in life, and he picked the perfect time to say, you know what, I'm good. You guys figure it out. We'll take a year off. He'll be back on the sidelines before you know it.
And by the way, understand this. These guys are lifers, Joe. Like, they live to coach. It's an unbelievable profession when you get to the pinnacle and how much time you have to spend there. But they generally enjoy that, and that's their life. Now he's going to be like, you know what? I'm going to get a lot of money. They're going to fly me into whatever city that Sunday Night Football game is on a Friday night. I'm going to stay at a 5-star hotel. It'll be a charter jet. I'm going to get all my food comped and paid for at the best restaurants I want. I'm going to meet with the NFL teams on a Saturday. Then I'm going to sit there on Sunday night, talk for maybe 45 minutes on a pregame show. And then I'm going to go watch a football game. And I'm a 5-star, hotel rest, and then a charter jet out on Monday. And we'll do it all the next weekend. That ain't a bad life, Joe.
No, not at all. And again, as soon as the job openings happen, guess who the first name? Much like Alex Cora, what do you think the first name in the NFL is going to be associated with the first opening? Yep, it'll be Mike Tomlin.
I'll tell you, associated with the first opening in professional football in the draft, that was Fernando Mendoza going from the University of Indiana out to Vegas. Diego Pavia, he got invited somewhere, just wasn't drafted, and said, hey, kid, you want to come? And what's my number here? Oh, your number is 119. 119? Is that a football number? Just get out there and throw the football around. That's what the Ravens are saying. We'll give you a look.
Yeah, we'll give you a look. I mean, it's unfortunate he can't sue his way back to another 4 years of college, Donnie, because he could have made a ton of more money there. But listen, there's a lot of guys like that have invites. Weren't drafted, but we'll have an opportunity to keep it going. If not, there's always the XFL, UFL, whatever they're playing right now, Donnie.
We love brash, we love bravado, but sometimes it can rub you the wrong way, and he did a lot of that after his Vanderbilt football career was done. Now he finds himself with the Ravens there. See what he can make of that. Matthew Fitzpatrick on absolute fire as of late on the PGA Tour, Joe. Look at this. Last 5 starts. Win, T18, win, second place. Kid's on a heater.
Yeah, pretty impressive stuff. And I think, by the way, winning that, I'm pretty sure he just got his brother now a tour card with that Zurich Classic win. So good stuff there. It's such a weird tournament, though. The whole doubles thing is a little crazy.
Mr. Irrelevant here. Used to be like, you get drafted last. That's embarrassing. Now, maybe not. You can make a career out of this, Joe. Red Murdoch, Mr. Irrelevant. Congratulations, kid.
Yeah. Well, listen, it worked for Brock Purdy. I think he just signed for $250 million, didn't he? As Mr. Irrelevant. So anything is possible in the NFL. We'll see what this turns into.
257th there, getting your name called last. Last guy, that's kind of funny. Not anymore, man. You probably get a little endorsement deal, maybe a Dove soap contract to start the season, maybe Head and Shoulders, Joe. You can make a career out of being Mr. Irrelevant here. Now up next, going to be Kevin Walsh. We know he's got a lot to say. You know he's going to have that suit packing on, ready to go, people, for a big show. We'll be right back with Kevin Walsh.
They do nothing fancy, the Philadelphia Flyers. There's nothing like, oh my God, like they basically, Kevin, can hand you their playbook before the game. Like seriously, they can say, yeah, this is what we're going to do. These are our lines, and this is how we're going to match up against you. Like, you know it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you know it. There's nothing you can do about it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
The promising thing for Oklahoma is you've got this legislature that seems to be fairly behind sports betting and legalizing it for the tribes. Stitt is term limited out this year, so you will have a new governor in Oklahoma next year. So this will be a state to watch because there are a lot of tribes in Oklahoma saying, we want this. FanDuel came out as this was coming and said, we want the chance to partner with at least one of the tribes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Get it, man. Maybe this is more of a Kalshi poly market conversation to jump in on the prediction markets, but to me, this is the spot that I would roll with the Rays, man. I think they're undervalued every year, and I think they're undervalued this year again. Look, the Yankees should be the favorite. They're the best team on paper. Baltimore, Toronto, and Boston? Donnie, are they that much better than Tampa Bay? What am I missing here?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
The level of involvement with the government and the universities is just absolutely hilarious. You got nothing else going that you got to be this involved here across the board? I do not get it, Donnie. I really don't. But that just goes to show you how much it means here to certain individuals in politics.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Monday edition of the Early Line, having some fun. Big topics come up. Draft is done. NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, firings, and away we go. And now, it's Donnie Rightside and Joe Raineri. We bring in Kevin Walsh to sort of sum up that weekend and take a look what's going to happen this weekend in the NBA and some other sports landscapes. But Kevin, I got to ask you right away. The NFL draft has wrapped up here. We had a topic in hour number one where the draft was under 3 hours, and I absolutely love that as opposed to 2007's 6-hour round number one of the NFL draft.
It was it's interesting though, because there's probably a balance that needs to be found. And I think they went from 10 minutes to 8 minutes. So a lot of people were like, perfect. They'll just go to 9 minutes. Like, that's exactly it. Just the thing, Donnie, that I can't stand, and I don't know how it works for you guys, but like, if I'm going to sit down and watch the draft, right? What can't happen is every single time Greeny throws to commercial, by the time they get back, they're 3 picks deeper than they actually are. That's correct. That's, I think, the issue that they have. So they sped things up. It sped up all the reporters. And all of a sudden you're like, they're still behind. They are still behind online. It can make it a tough watch, I think, when you're like, oh, let me see what are people saying about pick 12. Oh, cool. I just had pick 13 spoiled.
The whole thing was weird, too, on ABC and ESPN. You had 2 different sets of crews. The ABC was ahead of the ESPN feed, so, like, what you were seeing on one, it was all over the map. It's like, listen, just pick one crew, and you're good to go. It doesn't need to be on 13 simulcast, does it, Kev?
I mean, they're going to do what they want. They have the rights. They might as well. I mean, the NFL Network's got it rolling there, right? So there's like 100 different channels you can watch this thing. Well, we'll see, what they do, though, because next year should be a very noteworthy draft class, assuming people leave. Though I can tell you, I saw just a glimpse of the odds for next year's first overall pick. 2 of the first 3 names I saw, I know some people are predicting won't actually be leaving school. So we could be in for Arch and CJ Carr. People are not entirely sure they will leave school at the end of next season. And they have 2 of the first 3 choices right now to be the first overall pick next year.
Yep, take a Garrett Nussmeier. Go the Garrett Nussmeier route. Yeah, I'm going to stay in school another year. Arch, you'd be number 1 overall. I love school at this point. Oh, no, you're the 250th pick the following year because you blew your knee out. Don't do it, kids. Come out when the money is right and make that money here, Kevin. Talk about making some money. Let's flip it over to the NBA. Round number 1. Yesterday, we saw the Rockets. I'm surprised. I am. 115-96 victory over the Lakers. I thought they were dead to rights. But talk to me about this. Like, Kevin Durant. Is it just like he needs to play on the best super team of all time to be locked in or engaged? Or is it just me going, I don't know, he's older, he's still injured at this point? It just feels like the Kevin Durant-Houston marriage just never got off the ground or even had a honeymoon. And now it's like, I'm going to be out for 3 more weeks, which means 1 more game the Lakers win. He can have 2 to 3 months off for all anybody cares.
So I think Kevin Durant picked up it's very bizarre, but I think he picked up 2 different injuries since the postseason started. Yeah, if I'm kind of following the timeline here with KD, where he had a knee injury that cost him game 1, he came back for game 2, and then an ankle injury that's cost him each of the last 2 games. Now, I am not surprised at what happened in game 4 because the Lakers are a depleted basketball team. LeBron had to play 46 minutes to grab that overtime win. They're on the road. Like that, they never should have really shown up here and looked great in this game. It would have been the ultimate embarrassment, I thought, for the Rockets if they allowed LA to close the sweep. The big thing now for the Lakers is they expect to get Austin Reeves back for game number 5. So there really should be no game 6 in this series. The Lakers, it looks like, for the first time, will actually close as favorites in this series.
Kind of crazy because he didn't miss that many games during the season either, Kev. You know what I mean? Durant was actually, that's the amazing part is all of a sudden you get to the postseason and now he's got injury after injury. it's bonkers there. But take me ahead now to this Denver game in Minnesota. How do you overcome losing not one but two guys that really solidify the rotations on that? I don't know what we're going to get from Minnesota. Any idea?
No, it's so tough because you can sometimes get like the one game step up when a team is, dealing with injuries. But I would at least argue they got it in the game, number 4 victory against Minnesota, or against Denver, excuse me. The halftime line was 7.5 in favor of Denver. They were up by 4. They were laying 7.5. So you can't really overstate just how embarrassing that effort was. Denver, and it's been interesting to see how some of these teams are losing, where the losses, it's not just like, they can't cover a number. They feel embarrassing. They feel pathetic, and it makes it hard to back a group like that. I will say for Nikola Jokic, who is obviously running through one of his worst, if not his single worst postseason series of all time, there were moments last year in Oklahoma City where efficiency-wise, he brought absolutely nothing to the table and bounced back. This is one of these things to me. At some point, Nikola Jokic is going to have to find his touch and fly through numbers. But the issue to that is the books seem to know it. Like Jokic in a game that's supposed to be a blowout has a 30.5 points prop. So it becomes a little bit difficult to try to get to the window on some of these numbers.
How about this? Getting to the window on this number here, Kevin. Will the Pistons even make it out of round number 1 against an 8 seed? Magic and the Pistons tonight, 8 o'clock. The only low-level spread that we have. Detroit is a slight favorite. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I think Detroit will win this basketball game. But obviously, the idea is they need to. What's tough for the Pistons is game 1, they had no real chance just from the way the game was playing out. They took a late lead in game number 3 and still blew that thing. A lot of pressure on Detroit tonight. I think they'll answer the bell.
A lot of pressure on game time decisions tonight, people. 6 to 7 p.m. Catch Kevin and Gabe. They'll take you right into game time. We'll be right back.
They do nothing fancy, the Philadelphia Flyers. There's nothing like, oh my God, like they basically, Kevin, can like hand you their playbook before the game. Like seriously, they can say, yeah, this is what we're going to do. These are our lines, and this is how we're going to match up against you. Like, you know it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you know it. There's nothing you can do about it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
The promising thing for Oklahoma is you've got this legislature that seems to be fairly behind sports betting and legalizing it for the tribes. Stitt is term limited out this year, so you will have a new governor in Oklahoma next year. So this will be a state to watch because there are a lot of tribes in Oklahoma saying, we want this. FanDuel came out as this was coming and said, we want the chance to partner with at least one of the tribes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Get it, man. Maybe this is more of a Kalshi poly market conversation to jump in on the prediction markets, but to me, this is the spot that I would roll with the Rays, man. I think they're undervalued every year, and I think they're undervalued this year again. Look, the Yankees should be the favorite. They're the best team on paper. Baltimore, Toronto, and Boston? Donnie, are they that much better than Tampa Bay? What am I missing here?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
The level of involvement with the government and the universities is just absolutely hilarious. You got nothing else going that you got to be this involved here across the board? I do not get it, Donnie. I really don't. But that just goes to show you how much it means here to certain individuals in politics.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Monday edition of the Early Line rolls along right here on the SportsGrid Network. Donnie Rightside along with Joe Raineri. Best bets on the way. Also some fade the public action and still some hot topics left. So, Joe, we are going to get into the predictive markets here in just a few moments. But before we do that, I have my own predictive market question I need to have answered from you on which way you would invest here. If you look at the Philadelphia Phillies, who stink and are in last place, they're actually tied with the New York Mets, who stink and are in last place. If I asked you to invest, which team will fire their manager first? Is it Mendoza in New York or is it Thompson in Philadelphia?
It's got to be the Mets, Donnie, simply because they have the highest payroll in baseball, and somebody has got to answer for that. And now that the Red Sox have already opened that can of worms and done it, you know how that works, Donnie, then that's exactly what other teams are going to start looking at. And those two teams are going to be linked together here until somebody does it. But you lose 15-17, get swept by the Rockies. And I don't happen to particularly think it's Mendoza's fault, by the way. But what else are you supposed to do if you're the Mets? You got the highest payroll in all of Major League Baseball. You got to try something. The manager is usually the one that goes first.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I should say fun because you can't make the playoffs, Joe, in the month of April. But you can miss the playoffs in the month of April. And the Mets and the Phillies were coming in, hey, we're going to battle with the Braves, no doubt about it. We'll all be around 90 wins to make the playoffs. Both of these teams, the odds are against them to make the playoffs, Joe. We're not even in May yet. Incredible stuff. Can they turn around? I don't know, but both of these teams look terrible right now. Time to get to what the public's digging on, Joe. Here's our Fade the Public poll. Talking dogs on a Monday right here in Major League Baseball, Joe. We gave you a question. Which Major League Baseball home dog are you backing today? Which, by the way, I think there's only, 3, 6, 8 total games in Major League Baseball. Twins as a dog, White Sox as a slight dog, Rangers as a nice-sized dog at plus 150, or the Padres. Look at the votes out there, Joe. Pretty close. And by the way, the updated vote count, 25% on each one of these, Joe. How about that?
Yeah, I don't want nothing to do with the Padres. It's a terrible spot for them coming back from Mexico City here to have to play a game in from the altitude, having now to come back home and take on a Cubs team that's got to be pretty bent, given the fact that they just got shut out yesterday against the Dodgers. The Twins are just unbettable right now, Donnie, and I don't trust the Rangers, so I'm stuck with the White Sox here, Donnie. As crazy as that is, I think I'm stuck with the White Sox here over the Angels. I think the White Sox got more than enough to be able to get it done at home here.
Look at that. White Sox go. White Sox go. New week, new money here. And again, a lot of teams have off on Mondays. Most of the series will start up on Tuesday, and you get back to business with those full slates here. But as we say, new week, new money. It's time for bye, bye, bye. Get the week started in style, Joe. Where are we going? NHL, Major League Baseball, NBA? Take it away.
We're going to go to the NBA and the association tonight. And listen, I think the Pistons bounce back here. I think they had an opportunity in that last game. They were down by as many as 17, but had a lead with under 3 minutes to go in the fourth, but they just could not close it out. I think they bounce back in this spot here. Listen, Orlando has been Jekyll and Hyde all year long. As you know, sometimes they have these moments where they look unbeatable, but we know they're also immediately followed by, are they going to score 80 points in this game? I think that's what you're going to get here from Orlando. I think Detroit, who's been very good at bouncing back all year long, I think they're in a good spot here tonight to send it back to Detroit with the series all tied up. I think it goes 7. I really do here, Donnie.
Crazy, too. 1 seed versus an 8 seed going 7. Interesting stuff. How about another 1 seed there? That's Oklahoma City. Remember, Suns in 4? Well, they might get closed out in 4, but yet that spread is still big, Joe. 11.5s and 10.5s in the marketplace right now. Only 33% of the tickets coming in on the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix has already done me well in this series. I was getting 17.5 and end up covering. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take the Phoenix Suns getting 11.5 in this game tonight. They might get closed out, but they're going to put up a fight for the people out here, Joe. Even only about 33%, as I said, actually are backing them. Your boy DRS is backing them. Why? Because nobody wants to back the Phoenix Suns. Do it again, baby. Rally the Valley. Joe, give me the 11.5. I'll take the Phoenix Suns. So we're going to take the Pistons tonight, laying a short price, and a big dog price on the Phoenix Suns. Sounds like a 2-0 night heading into Tuesday. Now, we got prediction markets edge coming up, people. You know the drill. Come on back. Score break.
At the end of the day, LeBron's going to have to put that team on his back. Can he do it? I don't know if he could do it for a 7-game series. Can he give you like 2, oh my goodness, LeBron at 31? Yeah, I think he can give you a couple of those games. But it's about the other guys that have to step up.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Let me understand this, Joe. Are we going to have any broadcast games on TV anymore? It's all streaming?
You got to pay to watch here, folks. That's just the way it's going to be, one way or the other. And I'm sure this will satisfy, the FCC looking into the coercion that's going on here with the NBA NFL broadcast rights. Yeah, this is all par for the course, I think.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All these idiots out there sounding off on Tiger right now. See, it's so easy to go after a guy that's hurt. He's hurt. Whether you call it whatever you want. He's got a little bit of an issue that he's going to fix. Okay? They're attacking. Attack. Why don't you all shut up and let him go do his thing? He had to leave the country to do it because of privacy? That's nauseating to me.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Now, I see him 15th, 16th, somewhere in that ballpark, and I think that makes sense, Donnie. I don't see him in the top 10. I really don't. I mean, when you look at, let's say, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you start going into that, teams like the Cowboys or the Vikings or the Chiefs, and, could they take a flyer?
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.